Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. To pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
Okay, that sounds weird. Did Kamala Harris just did she just butcher the Pledge of Allegiance? Because that is a massive problem. So here I have a headline from Ground News that says Harris botches Pledge of Allegiance on Senate's opening day. Vice President Kamala Harris fumbled the words to the Pledge of Allegiance during the swearing in of new senators on Capitol Hill. Harris misquoted the pledge by saying, "I pledge allegiance to the United States," instead of including "to the flag." President-elect J.D. Vance was seen laughing at Harris's mistake, which quickly circulated on social media. Harris's blunder occurred on a pivotal day as the House votes to elect a new speaker, with some Republicans defecting from their party line. Now, that's a bad thing. But let's talk about this incident. Is it such a huge issue for someone in office not to be able to recite from by heart the Pledge of Allegiance? Now, it caused me to go down a rabbit hole and ask myself the question, where does all of this come from? And there's an article from 2019 from CNN that says, here's why students don't have to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been doing a lot of videos about Trump because, hey, I feel like he has been misrepresented greatly in the media, and I felt that I should do some digging and see how far back I could go to find content that can either shed some light on the media's information on him, or give us some confirmation that he is actually the person we think he is. And while I was doing all that, yes, I have been putting out a lot of Trump videos, but today when I saw this come up on my feed, and I told my wife, okay, I have this thing on my feed, and I was really animated because I am 47 years old and I can still recite my country's pledge. Okay, like I told my wife, you wake me up in the dead of night, I will recite the pledge. It has been so ingrained, it's in my bones. All right. Now you have someone who is a sitting vice president, former senator. She's been in public office for the last 30, 40 years, I think. And she just narrowly missed becoming the next president of the United States, and she botched the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, we're going to play the whole footage. I'm not going to, deal with clips. We're going to look at the whole footage, and then we will reach our own conclusion. But first, this article by CNN. Here's why students don't have to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And it's written by Doug Chris from CNN. This was dated, it was published on February 19th, 2019. We start by saying it is recited in schools across the U.S. every day by students standing stiffly with their hands over their hearts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This Pledge of Allegiance is shorter than my national pledge. It is shorter. So I wonder why she botched it, but hey, let's keep going. The Pledge of Allegiance has been a part of American life since 1892, when it first appeared in a magazine to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the voyage of Christopher Columbus to America. But the patriotic oath, despite its ubiquity, is not a legal requirement. Students don't have to recite it. Now, here's where CNN begins to lean into the American American hate potion. Okay, they begin to push this thing. Oh well, we don't have to be so patriotic. We don't have to be so America first. Because look, if you're proud of your country, and look, despite the fact that I think my country has made very horrible decisions, our leaders have been catastrophic. And I genuinely am heartbroken for my country, and I am currently an immigrant. Every time I see my flag, my heart swells. It is something that is baked into me. It took me over 40 years before I decided to leave my country because I am such a patriot. I am my country first. But now that I have relocated to another country and I plan on becoming a citizen of that country, I have to change my position to become my new home first. All right. And that is very difficult to do. Now, for someone who is from another country, and whenever I watch my team play and I see the uniform and our colors on the field, even though I don't like the fact that the sports in my country is mismanaged and there's so much corruption, my heart still swells. And that is really why I no longer watch sports that feature athletes from my country, because it breaks my heart to see them do way less than their potential. So reading this and saying students don't have to recite it, it is baking into the young minds of these people a non-patriotic outlook on their country. And that is why you have people flying Palestinian flags down the street and chanting and opposing what America stands for, and nobody cares. Look, it is like, now how am I connecting the fact that a sitting vice president cannot recite the Pledge of Allegiance, which is basically it's a short statement, and she botches it. Okay, it is a big deal. It's a big deal as far as I'm concerned, because you can't have someone who doesn't have a patriotic bone in their body, where the Pledge of Allegiance is something that students don't have to recite. It makes no sense. Why? It violates the First Amendment, which protects free speech. Okay, so you don't want to show patriotism and loyalty to a country that holds a constitution that protects your free speech. That makes no sense, CNN. The pledge made headlines this week after a 6th grade student in Florida told a substitute teacher he would not stand for the pledge because he believed that the American flag symbolized discrimination against blacks. And I assume that this student was black. And I assume that someone somewhere, his parents, or even his mentors, people in his community, told him that America was racist and did not deserve the respect that he should offer up to his country. Well, when he moves to other countries and finds out what they do to people in those countries, maybe he will appreciate his country a lot better, because children like this are being raised to hate their country. These are the kind of people who eventually become homegrown terrorists, because they are grown not to have a God, all right? Most Americans generally are being raised up these days not to want to go to church. And then you have kids like this who don't even want to honor their country. And I bet you that they don't even honor their parents. So like, this is the kind of thing that kind of, okay, so this is what I was doing with my wife. I went off, and my wife was like, look, I know you want to do another Trump video, but why don't you just do this? Because I can see you're so passionate about this. Now, I don't know how well this video is going to do. I hope you guys watch it, to this point, because most of you have, you enjoy watching those archived footage of Trump. But this is really important, because if America, and I believe that America has a very big part to play in the world, if America doesn't recapture, and I want to use that word, recapture. It sounds offensive to some people, but that's their business. If America does not recapture the youth and hold them to high standards of loyalty, courage, patriotism, then America is lost. And this is a very big deal. The pledge, so I'll keep reading. So he was arrested, he was sixth grader. Sixth graders are how old now? I think they're about 11 years old, 10, 11 years old. He was arrested although police said it was because he started a disturbance at school. So CNN basically leaves out the fact that he was making a ruckus in school, which basically means he was being unruly. And they are trying to frame the story to say he was arrested because he refused to pledge allegiance to the flag. This is what mainstream media has been doing for years, and it is honestly, they've done it to Trump. They've done it to people who are seen as conservatives or right-leaning. They say they are far right and they're extremists. These are the kinds of things that we've seen in media for years, and now we can spot them, as soon as they appear. They did not say he caused a ruckus. They simply said he was arrested, as if the reason why he was arrested was because he refused to pledge allegiance to the flag. And let's see the headline. Okay, the headline doesn't mention that. So let's keep going and wrap this up. The substitute teacher didn't know that students can't be compelled to participate in the pledge. The school district said. Now they are coping. That's been true since 1943, when the Supreme Court ruled in the case of West Virginia State Board of Education versus Burnett that students couldn't be forced to salute the U.S. flag or say the pledge because doing so would violate their First Amendment rights. Well, I would say, as someone who doesn't live in the United States, that's stupid, because you cannot tell someone not to honor the image of the thing or the symbol of the thing that guarantees their freedom, their First Amendment right. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. If you've stayed this long, thank you for staying this long and for bearing with my rant, because I'm not American, but I know that this leads to very dark places. If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what we shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein. But people are today being forced to use pronouns. Let's keep going. Justice Robert Jackson wrote in the majority opinion, if there are any circumstances which permit an exception, they do not now occur to us. The case ended up with the High Court after West Virginia State Board of Education passed a resolution in 1942 requiring students and teachers to salute the flag. A group of Jehovah's Witnesses sued, saying the requirement went against their religious beliefs. Legal challenges involving the Pledge of Allegiance continue to pop up from time to time, with more recent cases centering on humanists or religious freedom groups trying to eliminate the phrase "under God" from the pledge. According to the National Constitution Center, that phrase wasn't added to the pledge until 1954 during the Cold War, when members of Congress reportedly wanted to emphasize differences between the US and the atheistic Soviet Union. So basically, the people right now are trying to say, well, it was used then, and I believe right now they believe that the US is now atheistic because they don't want to use "under God" in the statement as well. Let me know what you think in the comments section below before we finish that footage and then see what the entire Pledge of Allegiance, if she got the rest of it. We're going to basically watch the rest of the footage because in spite of the fact that, yes, she bungled the opening, I think that we should hold our officials to a very high standard. I believe that. Our officials, our leaders have to be held to high standards, and they have to bring their A game every day. If they cannot do so, then they should resign, retire, go home, and let someone else do the job. You can't say, I was groggy, I had a hangover. You cannot do that. You're running a country. If you cannot do something as simple as recite the Pledge of Allegiance, then it's about time you turned in your papers and went home to your mansions. All right, so that is my take. And again, I'm not American, but most of you who watch this are Americans, and I really have a very strong opinion about this situation. So we're going to go back to the video, and we will be playing the whole footage, and of course we will end up seeing what went down at the end of the entire situation. Let's go.
Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, there you have it. She nailed the rest of the pledge, and good for her. But seriously, a conversation like this shouldn't be swept under the rug. Yes, you guys are expecting too much from her and so on, but look, lowering standards solves nothing. We have to have the very best of the best leading the world. And if we continue to make excuses for mediocre performances, you end up with a third world country. Well, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And YouTube thinks that this video will be a great one for you to watch next.